everyone, I'm Cerise.
I'm Joe.
And today we're talking about how we're all kind of looking for that one answer to a question or to all questions. And we're talking about the global scale and the personal scale. So why does poverty exist? There must be one reason that explains every aspect of poverty, and the nature of poverty, and the degree of poverty, and the scale of poverty, and all parts of poverty. There's one thing that explains everything.
And therefore, there's one solution that solves it. Only one. One solution.
Everything will be fine.
Just
need to figure out why poverty exists, and then we will know how to fix it.
That one problem.
And then
done.
Totally fine again. No more poverty.
Or, why am I depressed? There's got to be one reason, one thing that'll tell me why I get depressed, why I stay depressed, why I feel depressed, why depression even exists. And once I find that out, I'll have the one solution. Once I have that solution, I'll be done. I'll be done with depression. Finally, over. Done.
I've gone to psychologists, but every one of them has a different opinion.
I tried drinking my own pee.
That didn't work.
I tried drinking other people's pee.
I tried going to psychiatrists. That didn't work. And the psychiatrist gave me drugs, but some of the drugs kind of worked and other ones didn't really work. So it's like, that kind of makes me think, okay, maybe it's not entirely a physical condition, but it is kind of a physical condition because the drugs kind of work sometimes a little bit.
So there's got to be something there.
Side effects. But then, the psychological side of it, there's already, so many different theories, and not one of them answers it effectively for me. I've tried all these different therapies. So it's like,
am
I
I supposed to eat better, or am I supposed to pray?
Exercise.
Am I supposed to develop a healthier lifestyle?
Tried relationships.
Should I be giving to charity?
I tried talking to my mother and telling her about all of the things that she did to me when I was a child that I still hate her for.
I tried radical honesty. That backfired.
So, I'm still looking for the answer to why I am depressed. And I'm gonna keep looking for this answer because it's out there. I know it is. I just need to find the right one. I've had lots of moments where I was like, you know what, this is it. This explains everything. Now I know exactly why I'm depressed, and I'd feel better for a while, but then I'd realize, oh, oopsie, okay, actually, it's not explaining everything because I feel bad again. And then I'd have to look for a different answer. So that's basically where I'm at right now.
And that's what happens when you find yourself in that trap of looking for one answer to a complex problem or one solution to a complex problem. And why are these complex? It's not complex because they're difficult to understand. They're complex because they involve many, many different parts, many different dimensions, because that's how life is.
Nothing is ever as simple as, let's call it, black and white. There are multiple different factors that are involved in any one thing, be it personal or global, in our minds, in our emotions, in the way that we think, in the way that we live in the world, in how the government is run. All of these things are interconnected. They are symbiotic a lot of the time, and there is not, at least that I've seen, there's not ever just one answer.
Actually, there is, but we'll tell you later.
Much later. If we like you enough.
Maybe.
But we do know the answer to everything.
There actually is an answer. But before we get to that, why do people tend to gravitate to this behavior, you think, of wanting to have the solution or the answer. And for me, when I look at it, it comes from, for myself, it comes from a point of wanting to feel like you're in control, maybe for the first time. As long as you can understand the nature of the problem, then maybe you're not so powerless. Maybe you're not so much a victim to it, because now you understand it and now you're empowered to fix it. And oftentimes we want to fix the things we see outside of ourselves in terms of global poverty or gender inequality or anything that we see externalized in our world that we find ourselves drawn to. We'll want to fix that, and we'll want to have the right answer, and we'll want to fight for why our solution is right. But is it really about fixing those issues, or are we trying to, in a way, fix ourselves through the things outside of us?
Another dimension that Joe just briefly touched on was how much we invest ourselves in looking for these answers, and then once we find the apparent answer, and how much we invest in those answers, and how far we are willing to go to defend ourselves and to defend our opinions, our beliefs, our self-definitions of this one answer.
Yeah, it kind of becomes a very personal thing where you kind of go on a crusade. Let's say you've been drawn to a particular issue, and you have done all this research and you put all your labor into discovering what the solution is to this one problem, and you start campaigning and you put all of yourself into it, and it becomes all of you, and it actually doesn't even relate to the problem anymore. It becomes more about who you are within all of that you've invested. You've turned yourself into a kind of character already, where that is your life and that becomes you. So anybody that comes along and says, hey, I've looked at your proposal and there's actually alternatives that we can offer that can maybe address this problem, will you listen, or will you take offense to that because they're challenging you? So you see how a starting point that was maybe innocent, a starting point that was maybe you wanting to address something you see in your world, gets warped because of our own natures. We make it personal, and in that we actually lose sight of what's real.
How much do we limit ourselves within these beliefs and these opinions of these answers that we've found that apparently is the answer that solves everything? Because within fighting for our opinions, what we tend to do is we refuse to consider anything else, which means that if there are flaws in our solution, we sometimes will deliberately blind ourselves to those flaws, and then when someone comes along and shows them to us, we will
attack them,
make it personal against them, because we've invested our personal, emotional selves into these beliefs, into these opinions, and it becomes part of our self-definition, and that can be something that's quite challenging to detangle. So let's get to the solution.
We do have the single solution that's going to solve all of this so that you guys can stop not doing the right thing.
Let's all stop trying to find the anything. There is no one. The solution is that we need to be flexible, and we need to consider everything, and we need to investigate all things and keep what's good and what's best.
So in terms of global poverty, yes, we need to change the money system. We need to change the way we raise our children. We need to change the values that we have within ourselves that have a cumulative effect in the societies that we create. We need to change our agriculture and our consuming habits. All of those things are the solution. It's not just one thing that's going to change that.
Essentially, at the end of the day, the thing that really needs to change is who we are. Because who we are within our government practices, within our political practices, within our judicial practices,
within our relationships with ourselves and each other,
that is what actually defines and creates and shapes how we live within those things. So if we are corrupt within ourselves and we're working in a government job, that corruption is going to come through in different aspects. It's about who we are. It's not about the design or the structure or the functionality of the system, because if all of us were to live according to the principle of let's do what's best for everyone, that's how we would be living, regardless of whatever structure we were working within. And we would shape our structures within that principle. But because we're all living by all these different personal self-interest and let's just say downright sometimes it's horrific things that we participate in and allow within ourselves, that is how it's manifesting in the world, in how we live and how we interact and in how we govern ourselves and the things that we deal with in our lives.
So again, there's no single thing that's going to change all of that unless you talk about yourself, which is the one single point where you have absolute authority and you have absolute responsibility.
It's up to us. Right, that about covers it. Right?
Yeah, that's it.
Right?
That's the one thing. That's it. That's the answer.
Wait, that is the answer.
It is the answer.
There we go. That's the answer.
That's the answer. So
me,
next time you're
and
asking,
and you and you and you.
Don't forget
and
back there. We see you.
Yeah, you.
See you.
Yeah. So all of us, we are the answer. How we live determines the world and everything in it. All right, everyone, we shall see you next time. Thanks for watching.